Ever notice this? You're lying in bed, phone face down, lights off. Nothing bad is happening right now, but your mind is running a full-on Netflix series. Old conversations, that one text you wish you never sent, that person who walked away, that mistake you replay like it's your job. And here's the crazy part. Your body is in the present, but your mind is everywhere else. That's how the mind works. It doesn't care if something is over. If it felt emotional, it keeps it alive. Think about a regular American lifestyle. Someone in New York stuck in traffic after a 10-hour shift. They're not stressed because of traffic. They're stressed because their mind is arguing with a boss who isn't even there anymore. Or a guy in LA scrolling Instagram at midnight, seeing his ex already happy, and suddenly reliving a breakup that happened 2 years ago. Nothing new happened, but the pain feels fresh. Why? Because the mind doesn't suffer from reality. It suffers from attachment and replay. This is exactly what The Art of Letting Go by Nick Trenton is about. Not quitting, not giving up on life, but learning how to stop emotionally bleeding over things you can't control anymore. The book explains something most of us were never taught. Pain is part of life. Suffering is something the mind creates when it refuses to let go. We hold on because letting go feels scary. If we let go of the anger, who are we without the story? If we let go of the person, what if that was our only chance? So we replay, we overthink, we carry emotional weight everywhere we go, and slowly, our mind becomes crowded, heavy, tired. This video is about freeing your mind, not by changing the world, not by controlling people, but by learning the quiet, powerful skill of letting go. Because once you understand this, peace stops being something you chase and starts being something you allow. If your mind feels tired even when your body isn't, if you feel overwhelmed without knowing exactly why, then here's the first thing you need to understand. Before we talk about letting go, before we talk about healing, peace, or freedom, we have to talk about what's really happening inside your mind. Because the truth is, your mind isn't broken. It's overloaded. Point 1. Your mind is not trapped. It's overloaded. Let's clear something up right away. Most people walk around thinking, something is wrong with me. I overthink too much. I can't stop my thoughts. But The Art of Letting Go flips this idea completely. Nick Trenton explains that your mind is actually doing what it was designed to do. Hold, remember, protect, and predict. The problem isn't that your mind works too much. The problem is that it's carrying too much. Think about it like this. Your phone doesn't stop working because it's bad. It slows down because too many apps are open, too many tabs are running, too much data is stored. Your mind works the same way. Every unresolved emotion becomes an open tab, that argument you never got closure on, that apology you never received, that decision you regret, that version of life you thought you'd have by now. You don't feel stressed because of today. You feel stressed because today is sitting on top of years of mental clutter. Let's bring this into real life. Picture someone in the US, maybe a regular 9-to-5 worker in Chicago. They wake up, grab coffee, sit in traffic, go to work. Nothing dramatic happens, but by evening they feel exhausted. Not physically, mentally. Why? Because while they were working, their mind was also replaying a mistake from last year, worrying about money, thinking about a relationship that ended, imagining conversations that may never happen. That's not one problem. That's mental overload. Nick Trenton makes a powerful point here. We don't need stronger minds. We need lighter ones. Most people are trying to fix their thoughts. Meditate harder. Think positive. Motivate themselves. But that's like adding more weight to an already full bag. Letting go isn't about adding something new to your life. It's about removing what no longer belongs there. Here's the part most people miss. Your mind doesn't know what's important anymore. When everything feels emotional, everything feels urgent. So your brain keeps everything, even the things that are already over. That's why old insults still hurt. Past failures still feel personal. People who left still take up space, not because they matter now, but because your mind never got permission to release them. The book explains this in a simple but uncomfortable way. The mind keeps what you refuse to let go of. If you never close the door emotionally, your mind keeps checking the room. Think about American hustle culture. Stay busy, grind harder, keep pushing. But nobody talks about mental unloading. So people succeed on the outside and feel empty on the inside. They buy better cars, move into bigger apartments, upgrade their lifestyle. But inside, same stress, same overthinking, same emotional weight. Why? Because they upgraded life, but never cleared their mind. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed because you've been strong for too long. You kept going without processing. You adapted without releasing. You survived without healing. And now your mind is full. This is why the book doesn't tell you to think less. It tells you to carry less. You don't need to relive everything to learn from it. You don't need to hold on to pain to stay protected. You don't need to keep old stories to move forward. Here's a simple question Nick Trenton indirectly asks. If this situation happened today, would you still give it the same emotional energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. So why are you still paying for it? Letting go at its first level is this: closing mental tabs, releasing emotional leftovers, giving your mind permission to rest, not forever, just for now. And once you understand this, once you see that your mind isn't trapped but overloaded, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop forcing positivity. You stop fighting your thoughts. Instead, you start asking, what am I still carrying that I don't need anymore? And that question alone is the beginning of freedom. Because once you lighten the load, you realize something even deeper. Most of the pain you feel today isn't happening today at all. Point 2. Pain happened once. You're repeating it. Daily. Let's go a little deeper now. Once you understand that your mind is overloaded, the next question naturally comes up. Why does the pain still feel so real, even when the moment is long gone? Nick Trenton addresses this directly and honestly. This is where most people have their biggest wake-up moment. Here's the truth most of us never hear. Pain is an event, suffering is a habit, and the mind is really good at turning pain into a daily routine. Think about it. The thing that hurt you, the breakup, the rejection, the failure, the betrayal, it didn't happen today. It happened once, maybe months ago, maybe years ago. Yet somehow it still controls your mood, your confidence, your peace. Why? Because your mind keeps replaying it like it's happening in real time. The brain doesn't understand time the way we think it does. When you replay a memory emotionally, your body reacts as if it's happening right now. Same tight chest, same anxiety, same anger, same sadness. Nick Trenton explains that this is why people feel exhausted even when their life is technically fine. They're not living one life. They're living the same painful moment over and over again. Let's make this real. Picture someone in the US, a woman in Texas driving home from work. Her day was normal. Nothing bad happened. But while driving, her mind drifts to a conversation where she felt disrespected. Suddenly, her jaw tightens, her heart rate increases. She starts rehearsing what she should have said. That moment is over. But emotionally, she's right back in it. That's not pain. That's repetition. Nick Trenton makes a powerful distinction here. Life will hit you, but it's your mind that keeps hitting you afterward. And most people never realize they're the ones holding the weapon. Here's why we repeat pain. Because part of the mind believes, if I replay this, I'll understand it. If I think about it enough, I'll prevent it next time. If I stay angry, I'll stay protected. So the mind loops, not to torture you, but to protect you. The problem is, protection turns into prison. This is why some people move on quickly and others stay stuck for years. It's not about what happened. It's about how often they revisit it. Two people can experience the same breakup. One processes it, feels it, releases it. The other replays it daily. Same pain, different suffering. American culture unintentionally feeds this loop. We're taught, analyze everything, overthink decisions, revisit mistakes. So people lie in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations from 5 years ago like there's still something to fix. But Nick Trenton is blunt about this. You cannot think your way out of pain you keep reopening. At some point, thinking stops being healing and starts being self-harm. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your pain stays alive because your attention keeps feeding it. The mind doesn't let go automatically. It lets go when you stop giving it energy. That doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means not re-entering the same emotional room every day. Letting go at this level doesn't mean forgetting. It means changing your relationship with memory. Instead of, I'm reliving this because it matters, you shift to, this happened, but it doesn't need my energy anymore. That's emotional maturity. Nick Trenton emphasizes something important here. You don't heal by reliving. You heal by allowing the wound to close. And wounds don't close when you keep picking at them. Let's say this clearly. You're not weak for feeling hurt. You're human. But continuing to suffer over something that already ended doesn't honor what happened. It only drains your present. This is where letting go becomes a choice. Not an emotional one, a mental one. Every time the memory comes up, you choose. Do I enter this story again, or do I let it pass? At first, it feels impossible, but Nick Trenton explains that the mind learns by repetition. So when you stop repeating pain, the mind slowly stops offering it. Here's a line that captures the entire point. You are not hurting because it happened. You're hurting because you keep going back. And once you see that, once you really understand it, you stop asking, why can't I move on? And start asking, why am I still visiting something that's over? This doesn't happen overnight, but every time you don't replay, you weaken the habit. Every time you don't engage emotionally, you reclaim a little peace. And this leads us to the next realization, one that changes everything. If pain survives through attachment, then freedom begins with detachment. Point 3. Attachment is the real cage. By now, something should be clicking. Your mind feels heavy because it's overloaded, and it keeps hurting because it keeps replaying. So the next question is obvious. Why is it so hard to stop going back? Nick Trenton's answer is clear. Attachment. Not love, not care. Attachment. And attachment is sneaky. Attachment isn't just wanting something. It's when your sense of self gets tied to it. I'm only okay if this works. I'm only valuable if they stay. I'll be happy once I get that result. The moment your peace depends on something outside you, you've handed over control. That's the cage. Let's make this real. Picture a guy in California. Good job. Nice apartment. Looks like life is moving forward. But inside, he's stuck on one thing. A promotion he didn't get. A relationship that ended. An old version of himself he can't let go of. Every time he thinks about it, his mood drops. Not because it exists now, but because he attached his identity to it. Nick Trenton explains this with brutal honesty. The more you attach to an outcome, the more power it has to break you. That's not negativity. That's awareness. Attachment is why. Rejection feels personal. Failure feels permanent. Loss feels like the end, not because it is, but because you told yourself it defines you. Here's the dangerous part. The mind confuses attachment with meaning. So it thinks, if I let go, it meant nothing. If I detach, I didn't care. If I move on, I lose a part of myself. But Nick Trenton flips that completely. Detachment doesn't erase meaning. It removes suffering. You can appreciate something without being imprisoned by it. Think about American work culture. People don't just have jobs. They are their jobs. So when work goes bad, their confidence collapses. Their identity shakes. Their self-worth drops. Not because of the job, but because of the attachment. They didn't lose a role. They lost who they thought they were. This is why attachment hurts so deeply. It turns experiences into identities. And when identities get threatened, the mind panics. Nick Trenton makes an important distinction. You can care deeply and still let go. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's saying, I value this, but I won't destroy myself over it. Here's a simple example. Two people post on social media. One checks likes casually, the other checks every 5 minutes. Same app, same post, different attachment. One is free, the other is trapped. Attachment also explains why letting go feels like fear, because the mind asks, if I'm not this, then who am I? So it holds tighter. But the truth is, you're bigger than any single outcome. Nick Trenton puts this into perspective. When you attach your happiness to something temporary, you make your peace temporary too. People change, jobs end, situations shift. So if peace depends on them, peace is unstable. Letting go at this level is about loosening the grip, not pushing away, not pretending you don't care, just releasing the belief that your worth is on the line. You don't stop caring, you stop clinging, and that changes everything. When attachment weakens, rejection stings less, failure teaches instead of destroys, loss hurts, but doesn't define you. That's freedom. Here's the core realization of this point. You're not trapped by life. You're trapped by what you refuse to release. And the moment you see that, the cage door is already open. And once attachment loosens, you realize something powerful. Life doesn't need to be controlled to be lived. Point 4. You don't control life. You control your response. Let's be honest for a moment. Most mental suffering doesn't come from what happened. It comes from trying to control what already escaped your control. Nick Trenton is very clear about this. The mind suffers when it argues with reality, and most of us are arguing all day. Think about how often your thoughts sound like this. This shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have treated me that way. My life should be further by now. That word, should, is where peace goes to die. Because life doesn't respond to should. Here's the hard truth, but listen calmly. Control is the biggest illusion your mind clings to. You can't control how people act, what they choose, what they feel, how situations unfold. Yet the mind keeps trying, and that effort turns into anxiety. Let's ground this in real life. Picture someone in the US, a guy in Seattle, working remotely, emails, deadlines, Zoom calls, outwardly calm. Inside, he's replaying a meeting that didn't go his way, a comment that felt disrespectful, a decision he didn't agree with. He's not stressed because of work. He's stressed because his mind is trying to rewrite what already happened. That's mental exhaustion. Nick Trenton explains something most people never realize. The moment you accept you don't control outcomes, you regain control over your inner state. That's not giving up. That's reclaiming power. Here's where this gets hard-hitting. The need to control comes from fear. Fear of being hurt again, being powerless, being disappointed. So the mind says, if I think enough, if I analyze enough, if I stay alert enough. But control doesn't prevent pain, it only delays peace. And here's the softer truth that follows. You don't need control to be safe. You need trust in your ability to respond. Life will throw things at you. That part is guaranteed. But your response? That's yours. Always. Nick Trenton frames it beautifully. Freedom begins when you stop trying to manage life and start managing your reactions. You don't control the storm, but you choose whether to drown or breathe. Think about it. Two people face the same situation. Same breakup, same job loss, same rejection. One breaks, one bends. Difference, response. Not strength, not luck, perspective. Letting go at this level means releasing this belief. I'll be okay only if life goes my way, and replacing it with, I'll be okay because I know how to handle what comes. That shift changes everything. Here's a powerful realization from the book. The more you try to control life, the less you experience it. You're always tense, always alert, always bracing. Letting go softens you, not into weakness, but into presence. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop fighting what you can't change. You stop exhausting yourself over things that don't listen. And here's the line that usually hits people the hardest. Life doesn't ask for permission before it changes. But peace asks for acceptance. When you release control, anxiety loosens. The mind slows down. The body relaxes. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped wrestling it. This is the art of letting go at a deeper level. Not forcing calm, not pretending everything is fine. Just saying, this is what is, and I'll respond with clarity, not panic. And once you stop fighting reality, you discover something unexpected. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's strength. Point 5. Acceptance is strength, not surrender. Let's clear up one of the biggest misunderstandings about letting go. Most people hear the word acceptance and think, so I just give up? So I pretend it didn't hurt? So I let people walk over me? Nick Trenton shuts this down completely. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is clarity. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what happened. It doesn't mean you approve of it. It doesn't mean you forget it. It means something far more powerful. This is reality. I choose to stop fighting what already is. That decision alone saves enormous energy. Think about how much strength it actually takes to stop arguing with the past. Most people don't realize this, but resistance feels active, but it's actually avoidance. We resist because we don't want to feel the truth. Acceptance is facing it, calmly. Let's bring this into real life. Picture someone in the US, a woman in Florida who just went through a divorce. She can spend years asking, why did this happen? Why wasn't I enough? Why did life turn out like this? Or she can accept, this ended. It hurts. But this is my starting point now. That second choice doesn't erase pain. It ends the war. Nick Trenton explains this with brutal honesty. You can't heal a wound you keep denying exists. Acceptance is how healing begins. Here's the hard-hitting part. The mind often resists acceptance because it thinks, if I accept this, I lose. But the truth is, you don't lose power when you accept reality. You lose power when you fight it endlessly. Think about American culture again. We're taught, push harder, fight through, never settle. So people confuse acceptance with settling. But they're not the same. Settling is staying stuck. Acceptance is seeing clearly, so you can move forward. Nick Trenton puts it simply. Acceptance doesn't stop action. It stops unnecessary suffering. You can accept where you are and still work toward change. But without acceptance, every step feels heavy. Here's a quiet truth that hits deep. The mind finds peace the moment it stops asking, "How could this happen?" Because that question has no answer that will satisfy you. Acceptance also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're human, you're imperfect. Life doesn't follow scripts, and that's not a flaw. That's reality. Letting go at this level means releasing the fantasy that life owed you something different, not in a bitter way, in a freeing way. Nick Trenton frames it like this: acceptance is the moment you stop living in reaction and start living in response. Reaction is emotional. Response is intentional. That's strength. When you accept, the mind relaxes, emotions settle, clarity returns. You stop wasting energy on what cannot be changed and start using it on what can. Here's the line that usually lands the deepest. Acceptance is not the end of your story. It's the end of resistance and the beginning of peace. And once you accept reality as it is, you begin to notice something clearly. Not everything, and not everyone, deserves a place in your life. Point 6. Letting go of people is self-respect. This is the part most people struggle with the most, not because they don't understand it, but because it hurts. Nick Trenton doesn't sugarcoat this truth. Some people aren't meant to stay in your life, and holding on to them costs you more than letting them go. We're taught to value loyalty, stay, try harder, be patient, and yes, loyalty matters. But the book draws a clear line. Loyalty to others should never require betrayal of yourself. That's not strength, that's self-abandonment. Let's talk about what draining people actually look like. They don't always scream. They don't always insult. Sometimes they constantly take but rarely give, make you doubt yourself, dismiss your feelings, leave you feeling smaller after every interaction. You walk away tired, not physically, emotionally. That's your signal. Nick Trenton explains this clearly. Your energy is your life force. Anyone who consistently drains it is taking more than they're giving, and that imbalance slowly breaks you. Let's ground this in real life. Picture someone in the US, a guy in Boston. He has a friend he's known for years, history, memories, shared struggles. But every time they talk, it turns negative, it turns competitive, it turns dismissive. He stays because of the past. But the present costs him peace. Nick Trenton makes an important point here. History is not a reason to suffer. Just because someone was part of your life doesn't mean they deserve permanent access. Here's the hard part. Letting go of people triggers guilt. You think, what if I'm the problem? What if I'm selfish? What if I'm giving up too soon? But the book reframes this beautifully. Protecting your mental health is not selfish, it's responsible. This isn't about cutting everyone off, it's about boundaries. And boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They decide who gets close and who stays at a distance. Nick Trenton emphasizes, you don't owe everyone access to your inner world. That access is earned through respect, consistency, and care. American culture often glamorizes ride or die relationships, but Nick Trenton reminds us, not everyone who walks with you is walking in the same direction, and forcing alignment only creates friction. Letting go of people doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough to stop accepting harm. Here's a quiet truth that hits deep. If someone benefits from your exhaustion, they are not on your side. And staying connected to them keeps you stuck. Letting go at this level requires courage, because you're not just releasing a person, you're releasing old versions of yourself, familiar patterns, emotional comfort zones. That's growth. Nick Trenton sums this up in spirit with one idea. You are allowed to choose peace over connection that hurts. That choice is self-respect. When you let go of draining people, your energy returns, your clarity sharpens, Your self-worth stabilizes, not because life became perfect, but because the noise reduced. And once you stop carrying other people's weight, you begin to notice something powerful. Your mind finally comes back to the present. Point 7. Stop living in the past or the future. By this point, you may notice something. When the mind finally lets go of overload, stops replaying pain, loosens attachment, releases control, accepts reality, and sets boundaries with people, there's only one place left to be, right here. Nick Trenton explains this simply but powerfully. The present moment is the only place where suffering doesn't exist. Most mental pain isn't happening now. It's happening in memory or imagination. Regret pulls you backward. Anxiety pulls you forward. And the present? It gets ignored. Think about a common U.S. lifestyle moment. Someone in Arizona sitting at a red light. Nothing wrong. Radio playing. AC on. But their mind is replaying a mistake from years ago, worrying about money next month, imagining conversations that haven't happened. The body is safe. The mind is exhausted. Nick Trenton explains why this happens. The mind thinks time travel equals problem solving, but it's just emotional wandering. You don't fix the past by visiting it. You don't control the future by worrying about it. Here's the hard truth, delivered softly. If you're always somewhere else mentally, you'll never feel grounded emotionally. Peace doesn't arrive in the future. It doesn't exist in the past. It only exists now. Letting go at this level means catching the mind every time it drifts, not fighting it, not judging it, just gently bringing it back. Nick Trenton highlights this shift. Presence isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow once you stop resisting what is. When you live in the present, anxiety loosens, regret fades, the nervous system relaxes. Life feels lighter, not because it changed, but because you're finally in it. And when presence becomes a habit, you realize something important. Letting go isn't a moment. It's a way of living. Point 8. Letting go is a daily practice. This is where everything comes together. Nick Trenton is very clear about one thing. Letting go is not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Some days will feel light, some days heavy. That's normal. What matters is what you practice. The mind doesn't release things automatically. It releases what you stop feeding. Every day you choose what thoughts you engage, what memories you revisit, what emotions you carry. Letting go happens in these small moments. Here's a simple but powerful truth from the book. You don't wake up peaceful. You practice peace. And practice takes repetition. Think of letting go like mental hygiene. You shower daily. You clean your space. But most people never clean their mind. They carry yesterday into today, last year into now. Nick Trenton reminds us, you're allowed to reset as many times as needed. Letting go daily means releasing what you can't control, detaching from outcomes, choosing calm over ego, returning to the present. Again and again, here's the final truth that ties the whole book together. Letting go isn't losing something. It's gaining yourself back. Start freeing your mind, not by changing your past, not by controlling your future, but by releasing what no longer deserves your time, your energy, your peace. That's the art of letting go. So yeah, that's the art of letting go in a nutshell. Life gets lighter when you stop holding on to things that were never meant to stay. You don't lose by letting go, you grow. Choose peace over control, growth over fear, and freedom over attachment. Thanks for listening. Take a deep breath, let it go, and I'll see you in the next video.